welcome to my podcast. My podcast is called IM-MYI-GRANT, and my name is Reli. I want to do this podcast because IM-MYI-GRANT, actually it's only one word, and it's immigrant. In this podcast I'm going to talk about immigrant artists that they are all over the world. People that they just left their countries and decided to start a new life in another place. So let's just do it, don't waste the time. And today I'm gonna present you my guest. Who is it? Who is it?
Oi.
Adriana Butoi.
Esa era Adriana Butoi. I hear all the northern hemisphere.
Yes, so
Again.
yeah. So, Adriana, let's talk a little bit about you. Tell me what you are doing. What did you do today, actually?
Today, I spent some thoroughly enjoyable time with my boyfriend,
Nice.
and I had a class also.
A class of
I
what?
was teaching English. Teaching
Okay.
English. I teach foreign languages also. So, the interdisciplinary artist, Adriana, living in Ciudad de Mexico, Mexico City.
This is what I wanted to ask you.
I am Romanian, as
You
you.
are a Romanian and you live in Ciudad de Mexico.
Yes, in Mexico. So I will become Mexican citizen soon.
Good.
Most probably this year, or beginning the next. I mean,
Tell
this
me-
process.
Tell me, what's your artistic field? I want people to know, who are you?
Who am I? That is not a question of profession, finally. And
No?
maybe a vocation. It's a question of vocation, of living. The art of living,
Okay.
that would be, as I acknowledge it in you also. It's an art of living, of giving oneself different opportunities, of ways of living and feeling, thinking about the existence and the world and the universe. So finally, what brought me to Mexico is the same thing that brought me to France long time ago, leaving another possibility of myself also and of the world itself. Living in three countries, all of a sudden it seems a lot. In Mexico, I have been living for 11 years.
Wow, that's something.
And-
So you started your path in
Yeah.
France, you said? So first time when you leave your country was
France
France.
was for 3 years in France, in Paris.
Okay.
As you know, I have a master in the art of the actor. No.
So you
Yes,
are an actress.
we both have that. We both have that. That we finished in 2000. I finished in 2001, and you 2000 and.
Two. So
And
yeah,
two,
what we-
and you were under the same rules, academical rules, and it was that opportunity for us that they changed the Bologna in the Convention of Bologna
educational
in
system.
Italy. Yes, they changed just the infrastructure of the academic levels finally,
Yeah.
and other stuff that were things became accountable on credits. You remember? I don't know.
Yes,
Anyway,
I
they
know.
consider that we had the master already because we began school before Bologna. Yes. So I was finishing school, becoming
So
an
in
actor
2001,
in
and you left?
2001.
Yes.
Yes. And then I left for Paris 2003 to the National Superior Conservatory of Dramatic Art. That
Good.
is so pompous. But you remember our school now? It's called, for instance, I got into the Academy of Theatre and Film, and
Yes.
then the school became uh,
University of
University
Theater and
of Theatrical Art and Cinematography,
yes,
and then it became National University of Theatrical Art and Cinematography, we would say,
everything is
and
changing around us.
cinematographical.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ile Caragiale. Wow, we
Yes.
shouldn't forget the master of the Romanian playwriting,
No, no, no. It's the
um,
best.
end
That's
of
why.
end of ni- yes, end of 19th century, and beginning he died before the 1918.
You're
Caragiale.
talking about Caragiale, the name that our university is called after. Well, I
Yes.
don't remember. I'm
Anyway,
not sure about that. That
he
doesn't
left the
matter.
country. That is very interesting. That
Yeah,
Caragiale he exiled himself, isn't it? Or to I
I
don't
don't
know.
know, and I'm so
His the
sorry, but I
last
don't have
segment
the
of his
history.
life. I
Okay.
will check the thing. Anyway, a lot of
Anyways,
us left.
yeah, I
Yes.
know. That's why I
Why?
decided. That's why I decided to let people know about our path. Why did you decide to do that? And what inspired you to go to this path?
Um, Look, for instance, Caragiale now, he died in Berlin. He died away of his country.
In Berlin.
He
Well,
wanted to, yes, he died in Berlin. Look,
so he is an immigrant
um,
like us.
I,
So we're not the
yes,
first one.
finally after knowing the success in his country, success in the sense of that he was recognized as what he was in his time, with his passion, his very critical eye upon the society. Um, it's very touching for me to remember Caragiale now. It was not in my plan to talk to you of this, but finally
Yeah.
we come from this school, and we know what Caragiale is like, the Molière for French people, yeah.
Yes,
Um,
that's true.
so it's important also I will look forward to see to find some writings. Why did he leave Caragiale at that time?
I,
Um,
I propose to you to leave Caragiale aside for the moment and come back to
I know, I
our
know, I know,
discussion.
totally, totally, totally. But the idea is, why do we leave?
Why do we
And that
leave?
is something that, why
We
do we
discovered
leave
that we
our
are not the
country,
only
our
one.
spot?
Yes. So we are not the only one. It's
It's
not
about the,
2000. There were people that left our country long before us in 1980 or whatever, as you said.
uh,
And
we are
what
the ones that leave the most in their country in Europe for them in the present
I know.
moment, and besides
So
the
what
42 years of communism, of
communism? Yeah.
dictatorship,
What made you leave your country?
Romanians somehow for the subalternity. It's a question I was hearing myself 2 days ago, talking again about being a subaltern. Um,
Can you explain what this is?
Subalternidad, subalternity. What in on the world map, finally, starting with the geopolitical significance of our own country on this world system, in this world system, we inherit this history of subalternity of our own country in reference of the main powers, the hegemony, um, the great conquerors. Finally, we will
Okay.
have been Romanians in their different organizations. We have been on the rule of different empires.
Rulers.
Yeah,
Yes. Different
the
rulers.
Austro-Hungarian Empire rulers that took Transylvania for almost around 800 years or a little more, till 1918, when we had the gathering of the three main, Moldavia, Wallachia, and Transylvania, all together. And the formation of the Romanian states is just in the beginning of the 13th century, or Transylvania already taken in the empire. So there was different types of colonization, and then the Ottoman Empire that it did not conquer, but it imposed the rule of asking the money also, and always for century, and a lot of
So
wars for centuries.
you are
So under
going
this
back in
perspective,
history.
somehow,
Yes. You are going back to history
it's
now. Background.
my
Yeah.
historical being
Okay.
that needed to understand this history of
Yes.
subalternity finally, also from another point, another spot, other spots in this world, because it's not just
Exactly.
Romania as a little country under the rule of history that is made by the big league finally.
Yeah.
But all this quest for autodetermination, for autonomy, and also a kind of that is very proper for our generation somehow, that we were adolescents under the transitions from communism to capitalism,
That's true.
to
Yes.
call it like that, to capitalism again, no, from
Yes.
47, 48 till 89. And then all the inertia, the political inertia. I was talking to some people these days in a laboratory that we had about the Zapatismo, that is this insurrectional movement that is still happening symbolically in 1991, 92, 91. That was el levantamiento de los zapatistas, del movimiento de liberación nacional. So it's a national liberation movement from Chiapas,
Yeah.
Mexico. So we were talking about this, and we cannot do any connection with different revolutionary movements, insurrections, when people are asking for their rights in a very significant, in the sense of reuniting a lot of textures of the society, a lot of groups, social groups in the same time, all of a sudden is putting under critique, and again and again and again, it's everywhere. But the question is, besides the communist revolution 1917, that was 100 and some years ago, a little more, 105 years ago, that was a revolution that did not bring the common goods, how to say, bienestar común, bunăstare colectiva. How do you say it in English? Anyway, did not bring the good for collectively, yes. Unfortunately, it's all the utopia is finally so subjective, so fragile finally, and I've been an idealist since being a kid, and knowing that knowing where I come from, also the little village, industrial village with a big tires factory that was made, for instance, I could share something with you. I
Oh,
would.
you have something to share, please.
Uh, so this is about what's called it's hybrid I, yes, hibridio.
Hybrid eye.
Cuentas, restituciones y resiliencia.
As
That
in-
means bills, restitutions, and resilience. Borrador sobre múltiples descolonizaciones. That means maculator. So caer de lucro. How it's like
working uh,
a work in progress about the
Yes.
multiple decolonizations.
So I have a question for you now. because we
So,
are talking. Or
look,
you
les
want to
vieillards
let me
retournent à
finish?
l'enfance.
Okay.
Yes.
As we
No,
see,
I will
as
just, yes, I will finish very quickly. And this is just something that is related to the history, finally, with the infancy, and
I
what
just wanted
somehow
to say
made me
something.
leave.
Yes, that's true.
Please.
I just wanted to say something. As you see, Adriana is speaking in many languages because she lives in Mexico. She speaks Spanish. She is from Romania. She speaks Romanian. She lived in France. She speaks French, and I don't know where she learned English, but she speaks English too. And do you have another language that you speak? Italian?
No, just
I don't
4.
know. Only 4? Only 4.
Yeah,
Okay. So you can
just 4.
continue. So we are
Um,
on your childhood revolution where you decided stuff, or you wanted to. Okay, so you share something here.
do you see my screen now?
Yes, entirely
Yes.
you too.
So this
Yes.
is just what you see here is the tires factory that was done in this
In
is the
your
tires factory. In 1938 they built this tires factory in my village, and next to this palace, it's called Micul Trianon. This is the place.
the small
So I
triangle.
come
Okay.
from this. Yeah, this is the Petit Trianon of my village, because it was made by
Nice.
one of the richest aristocrats, Cantacuzino.
Okay.
It was made by Cantacuzino in those times, and he never finished that, and he died, and the family didn't, so it became a ruin. I also remember some shootings like filming. They were shooting
Yeah.
movies there also sometimes, like François Villon. When I was 10, I was taking autographs from the figuration, from the, how to say, the figurantes. I don't know how to say in English.
Figurantes.
Sometimes my
That's
English just
figuration en français.
yeah, en français c'est bien, on la laisse comme ça, c'est bon. Et alors, ese es un momento importante porque todos
This
mis
is an
sueños de
important
vivir otras
moment.
vidas en otras, ajá,
Speak
fue muy
English, please.
importante. Por ejemplo, și ce a însemnat pentru mine.
Speak in English, please. I hope we have
What it
we have
what it
audience
what
all
it
over
meant
the
to
world.
me. what it meant to me to become an artist. Finally, it was a kind of a the idea of home. Uh, all of a sudden I became protected by this promise somehow of becoming an artist, and
Okay.
I became an actor, and then I I was also dancing and doing pantomime and writing and
Yes, I
playing
remember
with different
you.
textures of arts, and
I remember you
also
were
doing
in a group
movies
of
and television.
mime, yes, in
It's
television. So you worked in
it's very
television
weird
too.
now because
You did
I worked
everything,
in television,
Adriana.
and I was in this with this pantomime group, that theater, movement
This is what
theater.
I
Finally, the
remember.
pantomime was just one of Dampurik, and then I became so upset with this man, the master. I was telling to my mom yesterday, it's such a pity that I don't I don't know about you really, but I really wanted to have a good master, a good teacher, a good guide, you know. In
Yes.
school, this was not happening in our acting classes, of course. It was not really happening. I mean, on the contrary, it was very harmful. And also, of course, technically, we have learned good stuff, but very harmful emotionally. And and then I thought that this guy Dan Puri could be a good master, a good
A
guide.
good leader.
And then
Yeah,
for
good guidance.
also
Yes.
also it gave me some tools, but
That
no,
we need actually.
as the
Yes.
level of ethics, on the
Yeah.
level of ethics in into human relating. And no, I mean, it's so sad for me to understand now that he became an extreme right Christian nationalist. That is so heavy. And
Yeah, but
I always felt very autonomous,
you see,
you
everyone
know. But
has
we are
his path. So we decided to leave the country. People decided to change their lives and their, I don't know, values in life. We have different reasons, and life is like this, you know. Well, actually, I want to ask you what made you take the decision to leave, to explore the world, to leave the country and do something else. You said earlier that you needed someone to guide you. You needed someone to direct you to a good way, right? So this
it was
desire
mostly
of exploring,
it
I'm
is
listening.
mostly the the connection with this idea of being guided is mostly related to the family, or to the lack of important guiding agents beside the mother. You know,
Yes.
that she was always there, but um, so
Yeah, I
yeah,
know.
I was craving for a master that most probably it has to do beyond the image of father, or the absent father. Is it has something to do with the history, with being so much under rule, under so this uh, pi- patriarch rule. Yes, that was
Yeah.
the dictatorship, and all the heroes of our nation, and all the an existence on war and on
And
crisis. and
um,
and so
I,
I thought that I can get very independent and autonomous, and not
just
waiting to
leave.
be given that guide, you know, that
Exactly.
guiding also. And the
The
knowledge
thing
became
that
my guide,
yes,
the knowledge
yeah,
itself in school, and then being able to choose the path that I want. It was very important at a
yeah,
vocational level. As I told you before, becoming an artist was like, being an actor, is it being an artist? Because it was so an idea much more romantic, you know, being an artist. That was for me exactly embracing a multidimensionality of things in the
yeah.
humanistic artistical uh, spectrum. But it meant that I was debating these days about being living in hope, that the hope finally is not a virtue. But it's hand in hand with this
But
frustration. But I was living in hope.
sometimes hope
I was living in hope.
helps. So you
Hope.
know,
I was living in hope
there's
of
a saying.
being a yes,
There's a
yes,
saying.
yes,
Hope is dying the last. So we
yes.
need
Hope is dying. Yes,
we
yes.
need the hope. Yes,
Speranza muere última. Yes,
exactly.
but then, but then,
Tell
uh,
me, please.
one
Tell
can
me
what
how
can
was it?
change. One can change. Just a second. One can change the perspective and saying, okay, maybe it's not about hope. It's not my main focus. As is not my main engine for my life, for the going on, for the becoming, and it's
When did you
embracing
realize
existence and
this?
its complexity. It's I could say since ever, but now I'm very lucid about it. um,
When did you
this
realize this?
multidimensionality is in, I was just saying you that I think since ever,
Oh, so
but
because
I am
this is
lucid about it these days.
you were living that and now you realize it, right?
You're getting more conscious about a lot of stuff around 45 years old. So I'll be
That
46
life
this
you have
year.
to live to realize things, right?
Yes. So I couldn't even know if it's a critical exile the path of a critical exile that I chose to make this resilience to
With
reference to
yourself.
history also, and to my own history, to the family history, to the human condition. It's giving myself an opportunity to live differently. For instance, my
Exactly.
PhD thesis in theater is called A Voyage into the Androgynous Imaginarium, the Magic Theater of Existence. Well, it's about playing
Where did you do that?
playing your own life with grace in our school. I went back to Bucharest to do it, and then I
Oh, okay,
continued it in
okay,
Mexico. So I
okay,
had 2 years in Bucharest, and then in Ciudad de Mexico, um,
okay.
in Ciudad de Mexico and in Mérida, Yucatan. So I did it with 3 universities. But
Good.
the
So,
idea of this
cultural
thesis is
interchange.
just a sign. Uh, it's
Cultural
overlapping the
interchange.
sound.
Yes. Yeah, I see that.
It's overlapping the sound. I think. Aha. Okay. It's getting later there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're in different countries.
So
Adriana,
what what were you
tell
asking
me,
me very precisely? Yes. A
tell
little
me,
late.
who are you in the society in which you live now?
Aha. Well, it's interesting that I am exactly what I am.
And that
Maybe
means,
it's a privilege. They call me La Rumana.
okay, so you are La
So they call
Rumana de
me
Mexico.
in the social group that I am developing, raising myself, living. um, that is the group of performative arts, I would say, um, in especially in Ciudad de Mexico, but also at the national level, because we know each other very well in different states, and where we can cross
States of
for
Mexico, right?
laboratories. Yes, states. Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
of course. Not in the United States.
yeah,
Mexico. It's
exactly.
also
You are in Mexico.
officially it's called
So,
the United States of Mexico. It's the name of Mexico official. As
okay,
United States of
the United
America, we
States of
have United States
Mexico.
of yes, los Estados Unidos de México, pero no finalmente se usa México nada más, pero es organizado como una federación, ¿no?
I see that you speak very
Entonces,
well Spanish. Tell me, how was the language barrier? Did you speak Spanish before you come to Mexico, or you learned there?
I did not speak and in Spanish. I was just
Yeah.
understanding as I was understanding um, also Italian and Portuguese, and of course
Yes, because we have the
Spanish.
same roots. Yes, Latin, and we can understand the five
Yes,
languages. They
yes,
have
and
the
me
same
speaking
roots. Yeah.
French, speaking French
Yes,
helps a lot. And then I see a lot of like connections with English, of course, and we are in the big family
of
of the
course. Yeah.
Indo-European languages. But um, Mexico was not the plan; it was just a trip, and then beautiful things happened
Oh,
that made
that was
me
my next
decide to
question.
come back.
Okay.
So
So you were on
Mexico
a trip
was
there, and
a romantic quest, but my first trip to Mexico was very spontaneous, and
you
I
were
just
like a
visited some
tourist.
friends. I was a
Okay.
tourist visiting France in the Caribbean, and I fell in love with the Caribbean.
Of course. Who
Um,
doesn't?
yes, so I met you last time there. So,
Yeah.
um, so
So you decided to go back. You
it's
decided to
important
give you a
to
chance, give yourself a chance to to live your life, as you say, in Mexico, right? And
yes,
you
but
became La Romana in Mexico. Is there another other Romanians, artists Romanians in Mexico that you know when they are living there, or you are
yes,
the
but
only
I
one?
don't
That's why
know.
they
No,
call
I'm
you
not the only
La
one, of
Romana.
course. They call me Rarumana because in the big league of the cult theater, especially, there is no other Romanian actress or theater maker,
So you are the only
or
one.
even yes, that no, I'm not the only one, but there are others that are in other social groups, for instance,
Yeah, in
that
your
do
group
other
you are
type
the
of
only
theater
one.
that I would call commercial theater, and that I do not do, for instance, for election. I am talking about the cult theater that is, yeah, we could say more elitist. Why not? Uh, the elitist zone
So
of the theater. The
so
the
I see that
the big cult productions of the art theater. Um, that is mostly what I did in Mexico since 2011. I was finishing my PhD, but from 2012 I began um, my collaboration with some companies as a researcher and performer finally. And
can you tell us
in
can you
2013 I came to
tell
Ciudad
us
de
some
Mexico.
companies?
Teatro La
Can you tell us the name
Rendija.
of some companies?
Yes, I
Mm-hmm.
am. Um, it's Teatro La Rendija from Mérida, Yucatan. Yucatan is
Mm-hmm.
a big pen island that has three states, and the state of Yucatan has
Yes.
this capital, Merida. That is a beautiful colonial city uh,
Like
under
all of
colonialistic
Mexico.
rules still, yeah, and mentalities. Um, Still, they received me very well in Merida, in the autonomous university of Yucatan. That is a big. In Mexico, there are autonomous universities. There are the best universities in the country. As this huge university that has a huge university city called the National University of Mexico, that is here in Ciudad de Mexico. I've been also
Okay.
here for the PhD, taking
Mm-hmm.
classes in different faculties, institutes of research, and colleges, colegios that would not be colleges as high school. No, it's a it's a it's a mix of a lot of social sciences and arts and theater uh, classes,
So
laboratories that I took. So it
yeah.
was very important to be in Ciudad de Mexico also. I worked there in Merida as a researcher with Murmurante Teatro also, um, meaning that I was documenting their activities in a very precise crossing with my interests and with my themes. Yeah, I was looking for the androgynous in their work, in the sense of reunite I was looking for the principle of reunion of contraries. Finally, that would be, it became confluence of differences, the hybridity. I was looking for the hybridity, where very opposite or different things can get together, reunite, and create a kind of a balance that I was inner and deeply pursuing, I would say
Okay.
needing for my life, to
Yes.
complete my life, to realize my life. So my my interests were going towards that thing. So I was working
So
with these companies. For instance, in Ciudad de Mexico, I came to UNAM, this huge university, the
okay. Yeah.
one of the best in Latin America, after, they say, in the ranking, after University of Sao Paulo in Brazil. Um, so I was looking also for theater companies here in Ciudad de Mexico that would work under my vision. so so just to see the crossings, the also the
Uh-huh.
similarities in vision, and also the differences, and to embrace that. So I
So
I
you
had four
found
projects as a performer and as an actress, and I had this amazing collaboration with Teatro UNAM, that is the biggest cult theater producer in Mexico. I would say um, bigger than the National Theater Company here in Mexico. So I work with them, with a very inspired playwright and director, Alberto Villarreal, and we did this, the B side of the matter. Um, uh, that is an emblematic, I would say, post-dramatic theater show. uh, Hans T. Lehmann, they would say the father of the post-dramatic theater. So he died these days, and he's a German. He has this important book. Yes, I'm not ironic. It's what it is. It is important. I knew him here in Mexico. A lot of things, a lot of people that were just visiting my imaginary while I was living in Romania, for instance, or in France. They they became real in Mexico all of the sudden, in presence.
so the fact that you live, actually your dreams comes true, right? Because everything you wanted to happen happened, right? You wanted to meet people
Somehow,
that can guide you. You wanted to meet people from which to learn new things, and you just found them in your way, in your path, right? So Mexico, I see that you have
yes,
a lot of experience. You work with a lot of companies. You have a lot of work in
yes,
your
I do.
field. Yeah, that's
It's not
excellent
always
because I
that
know.
pink, yeah?
Yes, and
It's
this is
not
what I
always
wanted to
that
say.
pink, the situation.
It's
Good.
not always easy. So I know you worked so hard for that because I know it's hard to do things in another place. So
Yes, it
you have all
is.
my admiration. You have all my admiration, and I know this is not stopping for you. And I know you want to explore more, right? So
More, I
your
don't
work
know
is
if
not
more is,
done.
it was always about a difference, but now I feeling that is this time of resilience that I am
Now,
envisioning, and
okay.
living also. It's just taking this path of resilience that is involving memory and history altogether. For instance, I will go to Bogota in September to realize this personal performance that is exactly what is named of this video, Hybrid Eye, Hibridio, Cuentas, Restituciones y Resiliencia. That would be
Yeah.
bills, restitutions, and resilience. And it's a work on my archives of audio, video, documents, a lot of, yeah, my archives. Yeah, finally,
Yes,
that is
you have a
that is
long
my personal
archive.
history meeting, the history of the world different times, but especially those times that correspond to my bringing up to existence and to becoming. So I am living, as you are, this unhomely life, because also for you, really, I dare say that leaving Romania, it was not because we didn't have a good life. We had a good life,
No.
and it was a promising life also.
Yes.
It's embracing this other different other possibility, this difference, somehow giving yourself this opportunity to live different lives in one,
Exactly.
and of course pursuing also a better life in the sense of social economic protection, and maybe, but then all the romanticism is still there, but it's very
It's coming
landed,
back.
like
Yes, exactly.
yes.
It's going
and
out from
and the
time to time.
reality is not socially, economically. I mean, I can have very prosperous times and very how to say, austere times, no.
Yes.
um, these days it's, I have transitioned the pandemia teaching foreign languages, for instance, and also having some collaborations that, for instance, going to Chile and do 3 performances, 2 in presence and 1 online with a Romanian theater from Craiova, with a Chilean director and some Chileans, and why not? It was possible
Yeah, why
during the
not?
pandemics also. And now for on the 29th, for instance, they will transmit in this Santiago Amil International Theatre Festival. They will transmit this movie of a show that we did last year in the same festival. And we have done it, this is called techo, that means roof. We have done it on the huge roof of a galpon, that would be a huge hangar on the on the shore in Valparaiso, Chile. So we did this show on the roof, and the public was at 150 meters on a little hill, one of the 46 hills of Valparaiso that
Wow.
are, yeah, cerros, yeah,
Excellent.
and for instance, I have transitioned well the pandemics in the Caribbean, for instance, my refugee from time to time. I came back to Ciudad de
Your
Mexico
first love
almost
in Mexico,
five.
right?
I came back to Ciudad de Mexico. Yeah, my first Mexico was the Caribbean, then the Yucatan, that is the prolongation of Caribbean in the same Penn Island, and then Ciudad de Mexico for a long time, and then again Caribbean and Yucatan, and now again Ciudad de Mexico. Meanwhile, I have been to Romania, for instance, in the 11 years, together with, I could say, 1 year and a half
Uh-huh.
in different, yeah, fragments. And the most, it was 11 months for my PhD thesis, for the title, and defending the
Yeah,
thesis.
yeah, yeah.
But now Ciudad de Mexico is offering me different possibilities, and it's not just about the career. Yeah, it's not
It's
just
about your
about the
life,
social
right?
recognition. It's about the
Yes.
personal things that happen to me as a woman, as a being, and as a spiritual being, as a teacher, as a guide myself for different groups, also the kids sometimes, so
Yeah.
adolescents and young people, professionals, young professionals, for instance.
So
And
you are teaching what exactly? Do you teach theater or
I have a laboratory of interdisciplinary creation that has, of course, it embraces a transdisciplinary vision or envisioning of my own art, of my own path of existence itself. It's called Híbridos Laboratorios Rizomere. That would be a rizomatico. That would be hybrids, um, uh, labyrinth story. It's a mix of a laboratory and labyrinth. And rizomatico comes from rhizome, yeah, from Deleuze and Guattari. This very utopian but but very possible system of organization inspired from the nature, where there are no hierarchies. Yeah, there are no
so
roots,
this
and it's
this is
another type of of creating a net finally. And this
This
is
is a
what I,
laboratory that it's created by you. It's
yes,
created
yes,
by
I'm the
someone else.
founder.
Okay. So
No,
the
it's my
okay,
laboratory. I
perfect.
created this laboratory in 2014. I participated with a workshop and a lecture in this
This laboratory
transdisciplinary.
you can
It's a transdisciplinary congress of um, of our street art finally, and it was the
okay.
theme of the on the graffiti. And I do work with body writing and the writing itself as a possibility of manipulating signs, you know, or
So you can do
performatic
this.
performing somehow the graffiti, uh, not directly, literally, but conceptually, performing with different other tools. That the body
So
is
you
one of the tools. I do teach live arts and
laboratory of
acting and
yours.
theater.
This laboratory of yours, it's something that you can do everywhere. For example, if someone will call you in another country to do it, you can do it. It's how this is working. It's on a period of time. It's like a course of 1, 2 months or four, I don't know. Or you can go somewhere in a
It
place
depends.
and do it like I don't know, summer camp for kids, for example. You know. How do you present this? How do you sell this laboratory of yours?
I do not sell it. I just share it sometimes in different
How do you
contexts.
share it?
And the contexts are, well, let me tell you. I will tell you if you let me. um,
Yes.
it's about the delay of the sound that is overlapping
Yeah,
all the
I know.
time. Sorry. Um, so this it's a laboratory that is open to any collaboration that would embrace the principles that I am attracted to develop, to research, to deconstruct, to reconstruct in different performative ways. And performatic is not just about the discourse that when working on hybridity that will involve the hybrid hybrid identity, that would be a hybrid identity. The identity as not seeing it as something that is very framed by the history, but something that is in a continuous becoming. So I am very aware and attentive to history. So when working with different groups, from children from 4 years old to 12, and from 12 to 18, 19, from different social backgrounds, can be how would you say in English, when yeah, very very sensitive groups, I would say, but sensitive in a social perspective finally, uh, that can be kids from family of not
Different
an economical, yeah, I would not say, but poor
different
kids.
level of
No, it
society. Yeah,
sounds
yeah.
horrible. It's just amazing human beings of different ages from different social groups that would, and different economical backgrounds. I have worked also in primary school schools, for instance, 4 times. It can be minimum 2 months to work with a group, for instance, 2 months,
Okay,
and
so
seeing
yeah.
them twice or 3 times a week at the end of the project. It can be for half of an year, as sometimes I do work for a semester with students in universities. Um, I used to have for 2 years, the first 2 years till 2014 and 2015, I had some members in the laboratory, and we were doing activations of the lab with different groups, working with adolescents, doing our own show, for instance, or some interventions in the city with funds from the government or not, being invited in the small residencies also to create, and then this became just me, because they got all in theater schools. We are joining again, for instance, with one of them. We are going to have this laboratory opened in an important acting school here in Ciudad de Mexico, and I will also have a project in another acting school of UNAM. So this has been before also very possible. I've been to Chile in residencies, in Peru, in Romania also, but mostly as a researcher and working with different Romanian groups and companies and nucleums of a change in theater, for instance, theater vision in Romania, you know, because they do now documentary theater, political theater. They do use their identity, so-called, working on the idea of identity, even if it's just about deconstructing it and making it explode, not necessarily in the most abstract way. There are people that are very courageous to and take risks. They do not bend under the rules of society that is very indoctrinating. They are very indoctrinating
Yes,
all the time.
yes.
So looking for this freedom and freeing ourselves from this dust of the civilization, of working, for instance, on The Angel of History by Walter Benjamin. I even work with kids upon this idea of themselves as new angels of history, where history is not just a bunch of ruins, a pile of ruin, you know, getting
Yeah.
getting all over earth and sky, but that would really change the perspective and working on and this ecological, very symbolically and then very practically ecological vision about what's left of existence on earth. And of course with kids
Yes.
and with we need renovation. I work with a group of students that graduated in theater. We were caught on the pandemics, so we worked in presence for 2 months and then 2 months more on the pandemics. It was the very beginning, and we did a documentary. So it's called Time for Revolution, manifest in work in progress, but it was en obra negra, in chantier. I would be I don't know how to translate it in English, but it's not the work in progress.
It's
Finally, it's more.
it's
It's
yeah,
like
it's a work in
it's like
progress,
abandoned
but
place of construction. It's like an abandoned place of construction, but you don't know if it's totally abandoned or not, or if they will
it,
continue that. And obra negra, that would say, we call it in the black work would be, but it's not the same meaning as in English. So working on
we have to
manifesto,
learn
personal
Spanish to
manifesto.
understand.
Yeah, please learn Spanish. People all
I'm
over the
trying. I'm
world.
trying. Yes,
Uh,
we will. We will.
Latin America is important, and they all understand each other,
Oh
even
yes,
if they
they are
have
all over the world.
different
And
linguistic variants of the Castilian. But they do. It's a mix of so many amazing things, and it's a lot of. This is the huge space, Latin America, of resistance, and
it's a resistance. It's something that it's touched you, right? Tell me, did you join a humanitarian organization or activist staff? Do you believe in something that will change the world, or
I
do
do
you
believe.
wish that something will change the world? What is
What
it?
do you think? Do I wish it or not? That change. Of
I'm
course
just
I
asking.
do.
I'm just asking. Yes. So, how do you think we can change the world?
I don't go with this statement anymore. Although something deep inside me will always be empathetic with this idea. But I have taken the burden of history too much. Nobody asked me that. I have um, promised myself to transcend this burden of history and changing something in the human condition, because living with this disillusion that there's just this potency in the human being to really live in harmony with everything. It's there. It has always been there. And it's very disillusioning for me. Still, it's not that bitter anymore, but it used to be so bitter to understand that we are not there. It's just a promise. It's a possibility. I don't know why we don't embrace it fully. So it's very absolutist of my part, of my on my perspective somehow, that whoa, during my lifetime we can get the bliss in harmony. Well, I have learned lately to look on the micro worlds, and
Exactly.
starting with myself as a micro world, just living under the sign of tenderness, generosity, lucidity also. So many strong and violent things happened to a lot of us, the majority of the humans, and also to me, and in this land. It's very difficult to live this unhomely life somehow, to living in between worlds, even if I'm almost becoming a double citizen, of Romania and Mexico. It doesn't make me feel less of a stranger of the human condition, in the human condition, in my own life, in the lives of
Doesn't
a
matter.
country that is not
Yes.
something homogeneous. How to say homogeneous? It's not homogeneous. It's Mexico, not at all. Is the land of complete, absolute differences and diversity. And the diversity, we have this opportunity to embrace it differently. I mean, I'm still negotiating a lot, even with my parents, negotiating about the meaning of life. That is beyond my personal
Even
history.
at it doesn't
Yes.
matter how old you are, you can do changes in your life, right?
So, who am I, finally coming back to the first question of philosophy, and that was your first question also. Uh, who am I, where I'm coming from, and where I'm heading to? And also there is a fourth one that is very good. What do I want to be? What do I want to become finally?
Yes.
Is the what, this what, and having an answer is not that possible. It would be very reductive, but I do trust my good heart. And
Good.
I'm relearning about trust within other people, because there are cycles starting and ending, and I feel that now it's another cycle for me too, as for humanity.
Related to what you are saying, I have another question. What can you expect from you in the future? What do you want to give to this humanity that you are talking about? What do you want to give to yourself in the future? After all you told me, after all you lived and you experienced all your life, who you will be in the future?
Who will I
Who you want to
be?
be?
Yes, I'm imagining. I'm not imagining. I feel it inside. It's there. It's
So
it's
just take it out.
becoming. It's becoming this tender person, and in acceptance and peace with the past, that, as to most of the humans ever, it's still tormenting and tempestuous. The past. But then Um, I I envision myself as just the woman and the artist and the daughter and the lover and the guide and the guide for myself, but then having very tender relationships with people and with everything going around. There's no other goal. The rest is there. And hopefully, while healthy, will always be there till the end.
Yes, that's for sure. Yes. If you could meet a personality of humanity, who would it be? It doesn't matter if it's living or is not living. It can be someone who is dead. Can be someone from the Middle Age. I don't know. Who would it be? A personality of humanity that you want to meet and talk and exchange thoughts with it.
All of a sudden, I
And you
had,
have to explain also after why.
yes, I had some images of
I
women.
just want you to choose only one.
Only one.
Only one. Yes. You do your choosing and you talk about only one.
Look, and then I will have to be
The
fair.
only one.
I will have to be fair and share the
Yes.
first image that came through my mind to my mind while you were asking this. So because I have other images,
Follow the
but
instinct.
the first one was Virginia Woolf and Orlando,
So we have Virginia Woolf.
her alter ego.
Why?
Why Virginia Woolf? Well, not just because she's a part of my PhD thesis. That would be she's
So
a
you had the
reference.
chance
She's
to
a
work with
reference.
her?
Virginia Woolf is a dead lady that I have
know.
worked with. That I have worked with
The work of
through her
Virginia
book.
Woolf, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
I work with
exactly.
her.
With
Yes,
her work,
indeed.
I wanted to say.
So, yes, I work with her in the limbs of imagination and recognition beyond time. Yes. This another biography that Orlando is her more attractive writing for me. For me. For others, there
For
are
you.
other
They are talking
of
with
her
you.
novels. Yes. So this trip of more than 300 years that she has taken through Orlando in order to embrace her singularity in her own way. I understand that even suicidal is, in her case, and maybe in a lot of other stories of suicide, of people, from artists, writers, to any person that ever considered to say goodbye to life like this, in many ways. So there is also a way of going out of life without living it and just continue in other body, in other psyche, in other possibility. So it was important, this novel, for me, as it was important Mademoiselle de Maupin by Théophile Gautier, that, the romantics, and that finally finish the 19th century that opens the 20th with Virginia Woolf for me. The feminism in this very personal touch. That is, a very romantic feminism, finally, that I still have. I am somehow like a sponge that is a juicy sponge, I feel, still in this um, bliss of the history, if there is something there, is something of what the different ancestors, not the nationalist perspective, but different ancestors, um, human, beautiful humans, amazing humans, contradictory humans, brave humans have have left some marks. And long live the anonymous non-heroes of humanity that
Yeah,
have given so
yes.
much, and we don't know why worldwide about them. But also Virginia Woolf was a guide for me, um, in a very symbolic way, very poetical, very romantic, and very opened up to a new possibility of being. That was also a new century, but that was also the empowering of women to at least have their own room and to be paid for their work and inspiration, you know. So
When did you discover Virginia Woolf for the first time?
uh, to be honest, I was more aware when I started officially this project about androgyny that I was living in Paris between 2003 and
Okay.
2006, and I was focused on the 19th century and the romantic perspective. Later on, I even had a class here, a course, a, a lot of classes about the androgynous imaginarium in the Romanticism with a Mexican that wrote an amazing book that was very similar to an amazing other book that I have read in Paris while studying in Paris 8 after the Conservatory of Dramatic Art. And I was starting this project as perspective, vision, and then with the PhD, I have materialized it in different ways, not just in the thesis, with different artistical exercises, to call them like that. So Virginia Woolf, of course, we knew about her, but I did not read her before 2003, 2004, to be honest. I was in the conservatory
Yeah.
in Paris, and then formally, when I got into this master in création de spectacle, like performance creation, in Paris 8, another university, I formally started to read and write about and introduce those elements, symbolic or not, in my own work, in my own life, somehow. And it is somehow related
Good.
to my becoming and getting out of a lot of closets, especially
Yes, that's
of the
important. That's important.
now getting out of and finding ways of reuniting, as I said, to 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 live harmoniously this hybridity that is finally the hybrid is getting born out of a conflict in between two things that cannot match, but the hybrid is a new possibility out of this conflict of things that apparently don't match, and they're not supposed to match, or they are not designed to match, but there is a possibility. So also Virginia, Orlando
Good.
especially, a traveler throughout history, throughout time and space and bodies. And
Yes,
still the same
exactly.
spirit, and still the same spirit.
This is what we are trying to do, to keep the spirit. This is what it keeps us alive. Tell me, if you could have a talent, what talent you wished you could have, huh? And why? Something else that you can do. What talent you wished you could have?
Well, I would say that I have it, but I have to cultivate it. Uh,
Something that you don't have and you wish to have.
I will not beat too much around the bush. It's just I don't want to have other talents than those that are there in me, expressing in their own ways, intensities, and achievements. But what I am very attracted to as a calling is to be a guide in um, insanity, in sanity processes that would sanación. How do we? I it's not
It's healthy.
becoming a therapist. It's a guide in therapy processes. Yeah. For that,
And
I
why do you
have
think
been.
you you want to do this? What's the reason that it pushed you to want to do this?
It's something
I'm
that
waiting.
has something that has to do with life itself and its essence for me, that would be this good and being a part of everything and being in peace with this and in grace, and to harmonize this continuous pulsion that I have for the harmony, for the making the bridges, for reuniting the countries, for acknowledging that there is this possibility of harmonizing as a continuous
For
process.
bringing peace
Love,
in the
peace, and
world.
harmony. Yes, in the
Yes.
world of one and in the world of others, in the worlds in between us. So I am interested also through my art to really embrace this possibility. Yes, of peace, of peace. I have worked through
What
violence. I have manipulated and somehow exploited
turn it around?
the
Yeah.
violence that I have. Yeah, I have to invert that, to revert that somehow, but transforming it. I did it, but now I think there are other ways also through my art and through other tools and channels. And I'm still into the learning, a lot of learning, and it is a huge and responsible work to make peace with the past.
Yes, it is.
Huge,
Yes,
huge
indeed.
work.
Yeah. Well, and now I have the last question for you. What would you think is worth telling future generation about the life you lived and the lesson you learned from it? And I'm talking about intellectual and moral. So imagine
Uh,
you are talking with the generation that will live in 50 years from now, for example. They are born in 50 years from now. What
hmm.
would you think is worth telling them about your life and your experience and your lessons and what you learned from it?
It's,
This is for posterity, okay?
yes, I understood. Hmm.
Yeah.
Follow your good heart, but keep it safe. Take care of your good heart. There is a possibility of living in something similar to peace, still in this world that is heating so much, is still going to war, is still cheating shamefully. It's it's something that apparently it has always been there, but there is also this possibility of sublime and peace, and one can get it through oneself and connecting to, don't lose the 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 hold of nature. Don't lose the hold of nature. Nature, I'm your bride. Take me, says Virginia Woolf, for instance, through Orlando. It's very important to keep that connection. And your good heart, I wish anybody could feel it, their good heart, and to really act upon it, upon its pulse. The rest is a personal history and also the history that is made, but one is always capable to make this history. It is very important to assume it, to know there is this possibility to make another history by oneself and together. So take care of the togetherness. And
Nice
yes,
words.
yes, go for healthy.
Take care of the togetherness. I like that. Yes. Excellent. Adriana, you are a treasure.
Thank you,
You are a
really.
treasure
You too.
in your field. Yes, you do a lot of stuff, nice stuff. If people want to find you, how do they find you?
Write to
On
me in
YouTube,
Messenger. Yes, and YouTube.
Messenger, on Facebook.
And YouTube, there is this channel that has my name, Adriana Butoi.
If you just Google
Sí.
we can see
Yes,
what you are
totally.
doing, right?
Yes, totally.
Is there
Eso,
something else
eso.
that you want to add to our discussion from today?
I'm looking forward
I
to
have
listening to other Romanians around the world doing
other
art
Romanians and
or
other
not.
immigrants all over the world because I know a lot of people. I know Mexicans actually who live in Canada like me. So you see, La Rumena in Mexico and
La rumana,
Mexicana
la
in
rumana.
Canada.
¿Sí?
La
Ajá.
Rumana.
Ok,
Yo no
muy
hablo
bien.
español, but I'm
Sí, pero
trying. I'm trying.
entiendes muy bien. Ahí vas. Francés,
Sí,
inglés,
yo
¿entiendes español?
entiendo.
Sí, entiendes.
Sí,
Bien, querida,
yes.
pues todo bien entonces.
So,
Te agradezco. Thank you for
thank you so
the
much
meeting.
for your presence. I hope we do a lot of good stuff with this. And we will chat after and we will see soon, I hope, right?
See you around,
Thank you so much,
hopefully.
Adriana.
Gracias,
Have a
querida.
nice day.
Te puptare.
De nada.
Ciao,
Ciao.
bisous.
Bye. So, I just had a discussion with a friend of mine, Adriana Butoi. I'm gonna let you some links below. I'm gonna, if you wanna search and know more about her, she's an extraordinary person. You can just Google it, as I said, and you can see what an immigrant artist is doing abroad, not in his country. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and let's see in another time, in another interview with another immigrant who is Grant. Have a nice day.